Hello and welcome to India Ideas, DD India's weekly show which is all about science and tech, innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm Gotham Roy. Insurance, be it of life, health, property, vehicle, crop, is something we all need. Penetration remained low for decades in India, but the digital revolution and the pandemic changed it all to a very large extent. Which is why today we're talking about the rise of InsurTech as our showcase. Well, the latest report by ICICI Lombard and NASSCOM says that the overall insurance market in India has grown by 8.4% since 2018, while the global average is 2.4%. Non-life insurance has grown even faster at 15 to 20%. A lot of this is being credited to private insurance companies, many of which are InsurTech startups. The report also says InsurTech startups have raised $2.6 billion in funding since 2018. Most of the money going to companies offering end-to-end solutions. So InsurTech is fairly booming sector among India's startups. 7 are unicorns, of which 6 are in the B2C category. How has this happened and what's the road ahead like? Let's get into that today with Manish Agarwal, founder and CEO of TestMyPolicy.com, which is a health insurance decision support tool that compares, analyzes and offers a second opinion on health insurance policies to customers. Vikul Goel is with us, founder and CEO of Bima Plan, which says it's a leading InsurTech B2B2C startup, helping drive insurance adoption through technology to provide financial security to the underserved segments of the country. We also have Rajat Sharma with us, Executive Committee member, India InsurTech Association, which is an industry organization bringing together InsurTech startups, insurance companies and other stakeholders to help grow the ecosystem. Welcome to you all. Let's start with you, Manish. You're a bit of a serial entrepreneur who's worked in the corporate sector as well. What led you to come up with something like TestMyPolicy.com, and why did you see a huge potential for growth in the sector?
So Gotham, I have been a consumer of health insurance from the very beginning when I was in corporate. But during the pandemic, I realized that 10 lakh rupees insurance which I had was not adequate. And then I went around scouting for insurance for 50 lakh rupees. And to my utter surprise, I got to know just by paying a very nominal incremental value, I could get a insurance which was almost 500% more. And this was something which was not known to me, and I realized that many people like me in the country are not aware of this. Because the insurance in India, typically health insurance, is sold by an agent having the backing of a single company. So this was what kind of pushed us into creating something which is called Test My Policy, saying that most of the people who currently have a policy, they need to have a platform where they can go and figure out whether the policy they have been sold, is it adequate? Is it the right policy for them? Or they could have something better. And all this through technology. And you will not believe that we've had almost an 80% success of all the people who've come and tried and tested their policy on our platform. 80% of those have gotten converted into or ported into a new policy, which they realize is much better than the existing policy that they have. So this was the initiation of Test My Policy. It all began with our own experience. And then it has been now, kind of circulated across.
Great, wonderful. Now, Vikul, let me congratulate you first on your latest pre-Series A funding round of $3.5 million. InsurTech as a sector among startups is also among the leading ones where picking up funding is concerned in recent years. Now, what does that tell you about how the sector is doing?
Good evening, Gotham, and to the fellow panelists. And thank you so much for inviting me and doing this incredible job of bringing stories of innovation and startup to your audiences. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
With respect to insurance, I think it's a very critical constituent of creating true financial inclusion. And without this, like Manish mentioned, the society is always at a risk of falling into a poverty trap due to unexpected expenses which cannot be otherwise covered by savings and investments. If you look at the insurance sector in India, it is a large $130 billion market, contributes to about 4% of GDP, and has grown steadily at about 16-17% over the last 2 decades, right? Yet the sector remains under-penetrated, and insurance products are only available to the more affluent segments of our society. When you look at the lower and middle income groups of people, uh, predominantly in tier 2 cities and beyond, they do not have, one, the awareness of the right products, the accessibility or the channels to buy these products, and more importantly, they cannot afford these products, right? And I think this presents a huge opportunity where technology first companies, or InsurTechs as we call them, can come in and bridge this gap, and will have a critical role to play in bridging this protection gap in our society. I believe that the insurance sector is at an inflection point right now, and it will continue to grow at a steady rate over the next 2 decades, driven by a large young population and an expanding middle class, the adoption of technology in building and distribution of the right products, and most importantly, the proactive environment created by the regulator in its vision to achieve insurance for all by 2047. I think all of these factors will create immense opportunities for traditional as well as new age companies, and the sector, is a sunrise sector, and lots of opportunities.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly. Now, Rajat, India's digital revolution coupled with the COVID pandemic are being credited with the rise of InsurTech in the nation. As an industry body's representative, which do you think are the other factors which are propelling the sector to unprecedented heights?
Yes. So I think COVID has kind of impacted every industry, not just insurance. Okay, so the insurance came out of the shore because the whole protection gap kind of became very evident, right? So that was one reason because of which, COVID kind of impacted the whole insurance industry, and that's where InsurTech kind of became at the fore of it. Other major reasons where I think are kind of impacting the growth of the whole insurance industry, one you've already highlighted, Gotham, is the huge population. India is 1.4 billion people, okay, and the penetration is at 4%. And post-COVID, we already have close to 700 million people on internet, right, which have gone digital. So that itself presents such a huge opportunity that, this had to be disrupted. Second, the government itself has launched plethora of, kind of initiatives. So eKYC, India Stack, Ayushman Bharat, Digital Mission, or now recently, ONDC. So all these initiatives, what they've done is they've given a whole digital infrastructure to every single player in the industry. So that is obviously InsurTechs, not just InsurTechs, but even the large insurance, the traditional insurance companies as well. So they've got a whole digital insurance infrastructure where they're innovating very, very fast and at a very low cost. Last, I would say before InsurTech, India saw a massive wave of fintech, e-commerce companies, ride-hailing companies, all those companies which have grown massively. So there was a success case in point where InsurTech could kind of replicate and build stuff. On top of it, insurance is one industry, which could be embedded in every single ecosystem. So whether you talk of fintech, whether you talk of e-commerce, whether you talk of gig economy, banks, so that kind of, multiplies the effect of growth within the insurance industry itself.
Yes, even travel apps and travel businesses sell travel insurance alongside. You can buy travel insurance with railway tickets as well now. So, and Manish, if we now speak specifically about technology, things like AI, ML, big data, seamless digital payments, how much of a difference has all this made to the insurance scenario for InsurTech such as yours?
Yeah, so I think it has made a big difference. That's what I was talking about. In India, the way the regulation is, an agent is able to sell only a single company's policy, and 99% of the policies are sold by this agent. He's not able to get or give the right product to the end customer. Very difficult to figure out, 40-odd companies and multiple products, what would fit the customer best. And which is where technology plays an important role. Artificial intelligence, machine learning provides a solution for the end customer to be able to figure out what fits in the best. And it can also help an agent, to be able to help the end customer if it is a B2B2C, figure out what is the best for him and provide him the best solution. This will ensure that eventually he feels that what he's gotten is the right product and he does not feel shortchanged. So this is on the AI ML side. And on the digital payments, I think what it has done is the quickness with which issuance happens. There is no period where a customer is not covered. Because of digital payments, and immediate issuance of a policy can happen, and which can really help him not get into a period where he is not covered, and which could have an impact on his claims and other issues. So I think all these have had a huge impact, and the industry is going in the right direction for this.
All right. Now, Vikul, tell us how you're planning to deploy the money that you've got from your latest funding round, and what sort of targets have you set in terms of serving the underserved and boosting your bottom line as well?
Absolutely. So Gotham, we are a 3-year-old company, and so far we've already served over 1 million customers. Our mission is to provide security, financial security, to the 130 plus million underserved households that are aspirational in nature, and something that we call the missing middle. Now, we intend to use this round of funding to further help us build our capabilities and enhance our capacity in order to achieve this goal and serve these communities. More specifically, we will boost our technology features, the scalability of our tech platform, build a deeper distribution network, and enhance the build more relatable products, right? I think this is a very value-conscious segment of the population, and you really need to deliver the value for them to really adopt this, right? So that's sort of our intent with with the resources that we have.
All right. Now, Rajav, we've already talked about technology, but if you compare the traditional insurance companies of the yesteryears to the present-day new age app-based startups, which are the other differentiators that really stand out?
So your question is around, how the traditional insurance companies and the new age different companies kind of differentiate. So the viewpoint I bring here, and I think, is the biggest differentiator itself is tech. Okay, and I would say that traditional companies do not. That doesn't mean that they'll always stay behind or they don't have the tech to kind of become digital. 90 to 95% of the GWP is still being managed by the large traditional insurance companies in the world, not just India. That's kind of number almost everywhere. The digital InsurTechs, the digital new age companies. So while they're growing, but still the numbers are very slow. So that's where we believe that tech itself is a very big differentiator, not just for InsurTechs, but even for the large digital insurance, large tech traditional companies as well, who can adopt tech and kind of become as embedded as possible in these ecosystems. That's number one. But having said that, I think the InsurTechs have an advantage for sure. Okay, and those advantages are with the likes of agility and speed that they bring. So they are obviously much more agile, much more faster. That is only because they are not burdened with such heavy legacy core systems. They don't are burdened with such heavy legacy processes and kind of branches and agents that they carry for the past 10 to 20, 30 years, right? So they're very much born in the cloud. So that is one reason why, because they're very agile, they're very fast. Second is the simplicity in the product itself and the low-touch experience that they offer to their customers, right? So that itself helps them scale much faster, right? That's number two. And all of this kind of reduces their operating costs at a very, very low level, right? So when these typical born in the cloud InsurTechs are kind of there, and we have two examples right in front of us. So their operating costs are probably 1/100th, or I don't know what that number could be, is very, very low as compared to a large traditional insurance company. So these are big differentiators because of which InsurTechs can kind of run at 100x speed than a traditional insurance company.
Certainly. Okay, Manish, let's also talk about challenges now. In the case of your product, I guess the most common skepticism must be TestMyPolicy must be offering to compare and analyze my policy because it wants to sell me its own or something like that. Now, how do you work to win trust of potential customers?
Right, I think very pertinent question. So Gotham, what we are essentially doing here is we are not selling a single company's product. We are a platform which is kind of a marketplace. And through technology, we are trying to expose the best three policies which fit the customer's requirements. So we are not selling a single company's product, so which means that we are giving an option of three different policies to the customer, not complicating it by giving him both, give him more, but restricting ourselves to three. And each of these are explained to the customer feature by feature, with the most important feature being on the top. And the important feature for the best offering from each of the companies is highlighted so that the customer makes an easier choice or easier decision. So once we offer him three options, so very clearly the thought of, pushing a policy more three different companies that we're offering. And if you want to talk about the commission or whatever the commission make, but you will get the right policy, get the policy to the right customer, the right fit policy for the customer. So that's how it is.
Right, great. We were losing a bit of your audio, Manish, but thanks. Now, Vikul, the one thing that I noticed about Bima Plan is the thrust on customization and partnerships. Now, is that something which gives platforms like yours a leg up in a highly diverse and competitive market?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Gotham. As you mentioned, it's an extremely diverse set of customers and an audience, right? And it is uninsured, which means that they haven't experienced this product before, right? Now we need to understand that their needs are different, their behavior is different, and their income levels are different.
Right?
Therefore, a cookie cutter approach or off-the-shelf products do not really work or serve the needs of these customers, right? Secondly, it's an extremely value-conscious set of customers, so you have to create a product where the customers feel that they, value is being delivered, right? And it's meeting their needs for the money that they spend. And for meeting both these requirements, customization is extremely important. I'll just give you an example, right? The risk in the life of a delivery boy in an urban center is very different from the risk in the life of a farmer in a rural setting, right? And you have to understand that risk between these different constituents, right, or different segments of your customers, and create products to serve those needs. That's number one. The second thing is trust is very important because this is a new product. These customers have not experienced these products before, or the awareness is very low.
Yes.
There needs to be a very high degree of trust between the buyer and the seller, and that's where the partners come in. So what we do is we work with different kinds of companies and organizations who have a deep connect with these customers across these geographies. Whether they're selling farm input products or banking services or other financial products, but there's already a trust and a connect that exists between both the buyer and the seller.
Yes, it's very, very important establishing that and keeping that going through the course of how you engage with your customers, because they need your service going forward as well in terms of paying annual premiums and other stuff, and if they have to make a claim. Now, Rajat, insurance, like banking, is a highly regulated sector as well, but India's insurance regulator also has the mandate to develop the sector. Now, how are stakeholders like the IRDAI and your organization working together to ensure that the sector gets all the support it can to prosper even more?
So, first of all, IRDA is one of the most progressive regulators globally. So I've engaged with the regulators in various countries. I would say IRDA is one of the most progressive. It's a very forward-thinking approach that IRDA is taking, the way they see the future insurance market coming up. Things like regulatory sandbox. I think IRDA was one of the first globally to come up with the real regulatory sandbox, and we've seen some great companies coming out of that. The whole open API framework that IRDA kind of brought to the whole ecosystem, that itself was very much revolutionary. So one, we have a solid regulator, which is very forward-looking. On the side of it, we have a booming ecosystems of insurance companies, right? InsurTechs, VCs, private equity firms, all of that stuff is a stage well set. Now where we come in, which is IIA, so we are a set of members. So these members come from diverse backgrounds. Okay, so there are people coming from insurance carriers, life, general, health insurance, We have brokers, we have actuaries, we have kind of VCs, private equity firms, and people from global tech companies. So all of them coming collaboratively together, we first bring a very rich experience, which kind of hooks up the whole Indian ecosystem to the world, right? So that is how we kind of behave as a bridge. Second, what we do is we work very close with regulators like IRDA, wherein what we do is we kind of conduct industry events, where we'll bring all these participants together under one roof and kind of collaboratively think about ideas and what we could do to kind of promote and connect the opportunities on both sides of the world. So some simple examples. For example, we have a lot of VCs, private equity firms, which are connected across the globes. So what we'll do is we'll help a lot of InsurTechs in our members community kind of go and help funding outside. So a lot of VC, private equity fundings and VC funds would come and kind of interact with the members of IA firms, which are InsurTechs or which are kind of startups, or even in different tech companies.
Sounds great.
We even collaborate with associations outside the world, which means associations in Singapore, UK, US, in other markets.
Outside India, I mean, that's great. I hope that you're able to take this process forward even further as you go along and this sector prospers even more, and it helps out all those people who are in need of financial security and insurance. Thanks for joining us to talk about it, all three of you, for the moment. And that's all we have on India Ideas today, but do keep joining us every week to find out more about what's really happening, which is all very exciting as far as India's startup ecosystem is concerned. Good night.